That's it. We're state champs. Our 2 losses, I think they were just saying, I remembered it, were West Springfield and Agawam.
Yeah.
Remember?
Both Division I schools.
And we used to be like, ooh, come on. And he would say, we'd be like, can't you schedule someone, like, we want to go undefeated. And he was like, nope. That's not how we roll. Like, we're going to get better if we play West Springfield and Agawam. And we're probably going to lose them, but it's going to come around in the end.
The amazing thing about this team is we gave up 1 goal in Berkshire County. That was it, all season. We started 3 seniors, 3 juniors, 4 sophomores, and a freshman.
Wow.
You were asking Abby, what's the one thing you think of? And that Shepherd Hill game was like, we couldn't win without every single person in every single position having their best game. There was no, because we couldn't be, that girl scored 3 goals and we had a good game. I mean, we won, but we had a good game, and it was like the second someone let down in that game, they scored. So it was like everyone banded together.
We had more heart. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And when I think about this team as a preparation, like games and practices, like I specifically remember sitting in front of the locker room, you know, where the football players are, like sitting there on that little ledge and like in silence.
We didn't.
And then we run along
That's right.
to the football field to play a night game, and we were like, yeah, we were so pumped about it. It was like something about that was like magic, you know?
It was,
like we all were in it together.
The captains had baseball hats, and every game afterwards, the team would get together, and they'd vote on who the 2 players of the game were, and they'd get the hat, and they'd keep the hat.
The team?
Yep, and they'd keep the hat.
Yep.
They'd sign.
Thinking about lice, but
Yep. Yeah, I know. We were worried about it. They'd sign the underside, you know, and they'd wear the hats until the next game, and 2 more kids would get it. You know, just as a way of team building kind of a thing.
Yep.
He brought a different dynamic that we hadn't done. Well, at least in my 3 years before that, lots of like short games. Remember, we all of a sudden started doing short games,
Oh, yeah.
and we would set up the cones and have to score on the side of the cone.
Right.
We hadn't really done that.
We also had a goalie that had never played soccer before.
Really?
Joyce wasn't, we talked her into playing soccer, and she said, I'll play as long as they don't make me run. Remember? Like, the warm-up lap was as far as she would go.
Join the soccer team, but I don't want to.
She said, I'll play as long as I don't have to run, and she was a wall. And June and Joyce, they were a wall.
We're tough.
Yeah.
we converted to basketball.
And they didn't play soccer beforehand. They never played in youth.
I remember going to like your junior game, you guys lost in the tournament, with my dad and being like, I'm gonna be on that team. Like I wanna be a part of that. And later in later years, you watch kids, they run the lines and they go to the games, and you just, it's like a family.
Yeah,
traditional.
it's a small town community. We just grew up together, all played together. You don't get that in bigger
Yeah.
cities where you're just, one kid's coming from a different. We were a family when we were on the field. Yeah.
We would get off the bus, and I always remember just feeling badass getting off the bus because I felt like we were intimidating as a team. But then as we'd be like warming up for
we were
the
doing
game,
skips. We would skip.
But I swear the other coaches were like staring and like writing it down and like, what are they doing? Because we need to be doing that because it was kind of like progressive, I think, as a soccer team to be doing these different things.
I give a lot of credit to the captains. They said, we're not losing. And I mean, everybody bought in, I think.
Everyone was silent listening to this like tape. And
Last of the Mohicans.
Last of the Mohicans.
We used to walk in like twos.
twos.
Yep. Up to the field, listening to that song.
Silent.
Yeah.
And I think that focus was a huge part. The sitting out as a team, silent, all our mentality was in. When we were walking up, it was game face on. We're getting to the field, it's time to go kick someone's ass. On the bus ride, right? We had a period. It was silent. Before we got to the school we were going to, it was silent. We listened to our warm-up as a team. We were a unit. We were one solid unit. On that bus, getting off that bus, warming up.
I looked at all of them like as just strong girls and now women that I always felt just psyched, like just happy that they were on my team.
Yeah.
You know?
There was no drama. There was no fighting. We just all had a job, and we did it. We just knew we knew where we stood. We had a job, and we just went out and did it. I mean, we did it because you didn't want to let down the people on your team. You were like, I can't let them down.
But at any point, there was somebody that could take your spot because we were, we did have depth and you had to work hard and how that like prepared you for life outside of Wacona. Because if you wanted it, you had to go get it.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to be successful, you had to just work harder, you know? So
And there's this big push now, like girls being there for other girls, and it's like new. And I always, every time I like see a T-shirt or something that's like girls are there for other, I'm like, wait, that's how this isn't new. Like,
Right.
we weren't trying to undercut anyone.
Without that feeder program, you know, it's hard. You know, if you have to start teaching basic skills when kids are freshmen,
Right.
you know, you know, it's like football players. You get good football players down there. By the time they get to you, they've been molded somewhat, and then you can continue that process to build a championship team.
You know what I was just
You know?
thinking of that? Katie and
Nikki,
Yeah, they were the line
so
girls.
they were youth.
Yeah.
They were juniors, I guess.
Came on the bus.
And they rode
Yeah.
to like the state championship. We had was seven. What were they? You were a freshman, so what was Katie?
7th grade.
And brought 3 7th graders because he knew like this is what like he was planting the seed so that they
And
could
they
see
were
what
so into
they
it
were
too.
so-
They had
sat
to
in
be
a
ball
bus
girls.
seat.
They had to be ball girls. We knew we had talent on the team,
Yeah,
but you know, you never know. One injury, or you know, you never know what's gonna happen halfway through the season. They're gonna have a big spat with each other, a boyfriend problem
You
or
know what,
something.
actually, I'm constantly hoping that my daughter, or whatever girls that we happen to be working with at the time, that they somehow experience like a sliver, even a sliver of what we had. Because, you know, you look back and think of it so fondly, and that's all I want for her. Like, I don't care if she plays outside of high school, or, you know, or at least when she plays, I hope that she gets the feelings that we had. I want that for them so badly. And it's hard because you learn, like, a lot of what we had was just natural and innate, and it didn't need to be taught, although I think that a lot of that gets credited to you, because I know that I didn't even feel like I was a good player until I had you as a coach, who like took, you know, what you had and like, you know, you can actually play at this, you know, harder or stronger or whatever, but I hope that the next generation gets to feel even a sliver of what we did and what we were able to. And then I'll call that a success as a parent and as a coach for her, you know, because it just feels awesome.
In '96, girls soccer team, state champions and champions of the town and each other. This is it. This is cool. This is it. Next time we do this, there will be beer. There will be wine. There will be other things.
We did a team together.
Oh, together.
All right, let's do it.
You gotta do it now.
We would do softball teams and basketball teams playing here at the community center every time after school and stuff. So I grew up playing, I think, athletics since I was little. The community center, they had all the different youth organization stuff that we would join in. My mom would always get us involved with that stuff. We did the skiing from here too. They used to do that every Sunday at Bosque. And to be honest with you, was basketball was my all-time favorite. But softball was a close second too. Soccer was just fun to do. But I went on and played softball in college too, which was really exciting. At UMass, there was 5 freshmen that were walk-ons to the softball program there for the women's team. And we all were starters as well, which was pretty cool. So it kind of like was the beginning of when women's or girls' sports were starting to kick off. It was just a little roll-up backstop that we had when I started there. Because like I said, it was just starting out my freshman year. We went to, we weren't into the NCAA at that point. It was the last year for the AWIAW, something like that, the Women's Association. We went down to Oklahoma to play in that tournament, which was very cool. Feels really awesome because I see the women's athletes doing so well everywhere, and they're respected and they work hard, the ethic is there, and it all starts from when you're a little kid. and you have those opportunities to play the sports and stuff. With Facebook, there was a lot of people reaching out to me, but I'm really terrible at Facebook. I can't do it, so I don't do it.
Well, I know you
So-
were terrible on the field, so you didn't need the Facebook for that.
All right.
For sure.
This is true.
Your presence now in the CRA Hall of Fame is gonna have unbelievable influence on young ladies. They're gonna walk through and say, wow, played at UMass. Played 2 sports at UMass. A pioneer person here at the CRA. And I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you. And I want to thank you guys for doing all of this, because this was amazing, and it's a lot of work to pull all of this information together and then to put it together and put a room up and all of that. It's just amazing, and it is a tribute to like all of the athlete and the different teams and stuff that they did for the kids growing up that helped us get to where we are today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Lombardi, Hall of Famer.
Thank you.
I was 8, 9 years old, and I really loved sports and basketball in particular, as you know, and it really probably started at my dad's practices, on these teams. And I wore number 15 growing up all the way to high school because of Robin Chapman was the center on my dad's team. Mary Ann Lombardi, Lisa Kovacs. I mean, they were the people I looked up to, the basketball players that I admired and respected the most. And they were so good to me. Whatever I was, ball boy, coach's son, but like my sister mentioned out there, we felt like they were part of the family, older sisters. And then I think, even if you weren't aware of it at the time, and I know Brian feels the same way about this, after my dad passed, even before, just as years went on, the stories that people come up and tell us about how impactful he was, then you really realize, how special of a teacher he was. I don't even know tactically if he was that great. He didn't really have a great basketball background. But most people who had him in class knew how exceptional he was as a teacher. And I think he just carried that ability to motivate and that ability to relate to kids to the core. And you know how important that is as a coach. If you have that and the kids love you and trust you, that goes a long way. As special as he was as a dad, and he carried that same passion right to his family, I'll be honest, it wasn't always, easy. He was exhausted. He had so much energy, and he expected so much of us. And he was tough in a great way, in a loving way. But you had to get your work done, and you had to get after it.
It's an extension of the classroom. You're a teacher. You just take that transition is probably a little easier.
Right.
Just to how the time frame that he started coaching girls sports is probably it was a very, very hard for him. And, I think Nancy Berry as assistant who gave him good sound of advice and just be you and the girls will respond. And we saw what they did from the 2 victories all the way to a Western Mass championship. So he was that way in the classroom where he demanded a lot. So same thing, why wouldn't he do the same thing on the court? Our father was a well-read guy. If it was without really traveling outside of Berkshire County, he was worldly. Sundays were spent reading the New York Times, the Boston Globe. So I would suspect that that's where he came across that line, and that line basically its interpretation is how he portrayed it to us is it's conquer your fears or they'll eat you up. The safest place is to be on the tiger, not off the tiger.
Like Brian said, if you were not going to ride them, then they're going to eat you up. And I thought it was just a nice statement, good analogy, one that has stuck with me in my life, and I know a lot of his former players as well.
Coach Jim Ducat, ride your tigers, conquer your fears, be passionate, and clearly a Hall of Famer here at CRA. Congratulations to him upstairs. And congratulations to you guys and your family, because clearly it's permeated throughout your whole family and what you've done and everything that we're just so blessed to have people like you in our community, and hopefully we continue to ride our tigers.
Thanks, Sue. Appreciate it.
Thanks
That was
so much.
great.
Appreciate it.
With my father on Sundays, we always had some
community thing to go do, whether we were working at the AA field or we were working at the public beach or we were down here working. It just how we grew up. And the more you saw of it, it just got totally ingrained into what we believe in. And we're trying to do it now with our kids and go forward. And what I've learned is that the help is needed and it's appreciated in the town. And everybody feels you get that sense of community when you get involved. Not just monetarily, but even like going and doing the food pantry, which we've started doing, has been great. You get to meet a lot of great people who are retired from their jobs but still giving back to the community. So it's really awesome. My father, my grandfather, and all the employees he's ever had, they all carry the same exact commitment. So you followed right in line, and it's a great feeling. The amount of effort that these coaches and volunteers and everybody puts into the CRA program and all of the Dalton community sports is unbelievable. So it's just a great feeling to be part of this whole team that is doing everything for the community, whether it be the coaches from, little Bantam League baseball or, all the way up through high school baseball and football in the same way and all the programs like that. And then there's the people you take, like the Whitmans, 2 people who have given so much to the community. It's amazing. And all the other volunteers that you could go on and on about who do things, who don't even have kids in the system anymore, are still doing it. Very excited to welcome Todd, a good friend, into the CRA Hall of Fame. We've leaned on Todd and his family, Wayne, for a long, long time. And Todd, thank you very much. I think the only bad thing I can say about him is he's a Washington football team fan. I'm not even sure how that came out, but it's too bad. That's his one now. Other than that, happy to have you here, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.
Good man.